If the devil invited you to dance, would you boogie with him on the dance floor? Now, I know that is a weird hook for a video, but if you stick with this, give me 10 minutes of your time, you might just discover why the pursuit of joy can lead you to a sort of personal waking hell. And if you're someone who feels as if life has already burnt you to ash, but you now are ready to climb towards a sense of meaning in a world that is becoming more and more devoid of it, subscribe and consider watching the rest of this series, which will give you all of the context you'll need as to why Jung's insights could be a symbolic life raft out in the treacherous ocean that is our current reality. In this episode, we investigate the Red One in Carl Jung's Red Book. You can view the first 3 episodes that cover Liber Primus as the entry into Jung's visionary world. They were a sort of tutorial for Carl, teaching him the rules of engagement with the characters and entities that would emerge from his own psyche in this second phase of the book. We now sit in the first chapter of Liber Secundus, where Jung exclaims that the spirit of the depths has paralyzed him. He is without direction, without want or desire, and it almost seems as if his ego has been suppressed. In this state of neutrality, Jung enters into his next vision. I find that I am standing on the highest tower of a castle. The air tells me so. I am far back in time. He scans the fields and forests from the top of the castle vista and notices that he's in medieval times, wearing a green garment with a horn hanging from his shoulder. Within moments, Carl has understood that he's the guardian of this tower, and before he's had a chance to consider what this responsibility means, a red speck catches his eye in the distance. As it approaches, it's revealed to be a horseman in a red coat, and Jung, being the sharp mind that he is, determines that this harrowing figure that is quickly approaching from the distance is the devil. Now, you might be asking yourself, what's Carl gonna do in this situation? How is he gonna defend this castle from hell manifest? Well, the answer is nothing. The devil, he just waltzes right in. He goes through the gates, up the stairs, knock, knock. Hey, it's the devil, I'm in your castle. Well, he actually doesn't say that. It goes a little more like this.
I greet you, man on the high tower. I saw you from afar, looking and waiting. Your waiting has called me.
Who are you?
Who am I? You think I am the devil. Do not pass judgment. Perhaps you can talk to me without knowing who I am. What sort of a superstitious fellow are you that immediately you think of the devil?
And that was a pretty interesting introduction to this character, and as we go deeper, you'll begin to understand that the Red One is representative of immediate gratification, giving into desire. At least that's my read on him. Think about it like this. Have you ever found yourself without direction, without anything to do for a prolonged period of time? You begin to get bored. You might even start to feel a little uneasy. You might want to scroll on your phone, you turn on the TV, smoke a cigarette or vape, and maybe have a drink as well. Anything to take yourself away from feeling uneasy in that stillness. This shady red horseman says, I saw you from afar, looking and waiting. Your waiting has called me. Devil or not, this guy is here to get you into trouble. In Jung's situation, he's not an idiot though. He knows when he's in the presence of evil, but he also can't help but be honest about his predicament at the top of the castle. He feels poor in his waiting, expecting some of the world's wealth to make its way over. I mean, the man wants insights, deep cuts into the fabric of reality. He's after that forbidden knowledge that's gonna give him an edge. But when he sits there waiting and looks out to the horizon, all he sees are trees. He's not getting the kind of return on this meditative investment that he wants, and now a literal fallen angel of God is here to bother him.
So I have come to absolutely the right place. I have wandered a long time through the world, seeking those like you who sit upon a high tower on the lookout for things unseen.
He has Jung's curiosity, and being a keen observer, Carl analyzes this red figure before him, claiming that he isn't pompous or Latin enough to be a classical figure, that he instead must be some form of pagan. To me, there's a sense of recognition that this mischievous force exists across cultures and religions. This devilish impulsiveness exists within all humans. The Red Stranger, he mocks Jung's serious demeanor, but Carl doesn't lower his guard. Instead, he questions this entity that stands before him.
You're evasive and don't want to reveal yourself. What are you hiding?
The lens which Jung holds towards the Red One causes him to shine like glowing iron, and this devilish figure begins to playfully interrogate Jung. First, he claims that Carl is too German, which in this context means that he takes things a little too literally. The second claim is that Jung is a sophist, someone well versed in the art of debate, but who is more likely to use clever yet deceptive arguments to win rather than seeking the truth. It's a pretty severe burn, to be fair, as the Red One remarks.
Are you something of a saint? Hardly a philosopher, since you have no aptitude for scholarly language. But a saint? Surely that. Your solemnity smells of fanaticism. You have an ethical air and a simplicity that smacks of stale bread and water.
And then Jung hits back with this.
I can say neither yes nor no. You speak as one trapped in the spirit of this time. It seems to me that you lack the terms of comparison.
The conversation then turns towards Christianity, with Jung claiming that the Western mind was challenged to grow through Christ's suffering, and reflecting back on what that actually means from the previous episode is less about a man dying on a cross in order to waiver our sins. No, it's more about a metaphorical self-sacrifice that we as individuals can do in order to add value to the wider community. It's the idea that there is meaning in suffering when you're in service to a goal that is greater than yourself, which is what I was doing when I was writing this episode while sick. That's right, I'm suffering right now for you. So if you do get anything out of this episode, please consider leaving me a comment so I could feel a little less bad about myself. But more to the point, if you want a world to run in a healthy way, you want as many people to avoid immediate gratification for the self and instead find a way of delaying that gratification while adding value to the world. It's a pretty simple concept. If a society undermines selfish desire in favor of doing the right thing for the wider community, your civilization, it'll flourish. And on the reverse of that, if your culture becomes too greedy and self-interested, then everything will begin to fall apart. But as we know, doing the right thing isn't always the easiest option when you have all of the world's distractions in your pocket. The Red One snarks at Jung's interpretation of gaining meaning through suffering, claiming that this mournful escape from the world is precisely what makes people ponderous and sullen, which in a sense can be true as well. If you're constantly suffering, you can end up becoming a bit of a miserable character, especially if you're suffering on someone else's terms. It's difficult to be the life of the party when you're constantly burdened with challenges. This whole allegory seems to be missing balance though, and I actually think that the Ikigai framework might actually solve that problem. Now, Ikigai is a Japanese term that roughly translates to reason for being. It's essentially about finding meaning through a combination of vocation, profession, passion, and mission. It teaches how you can add value to the world while doing the things that you love. It's a great methodology to create meaningful direction in your life. And you know what, I'll link a more detailed video about it to the end of this one if you're interested. But before I go on a big tangent down there, let's get back to Jung's vision, where the devil is essentially mocking him, calling him a buzzkill who is adverse to having any fun.
Life doesn't require any seriousness. On the contrary, it's better to dance through life.
Suddenly, the Red Rider becomes a more tender tone, and as he does, Jung's garments, they burst into leaves. Could it be that Jung is beginning to let this metaphorical outside world in? Before, where he understood the forest and the trees of the outside world to be valueless and nothing, he now wears the same material as clothes. It seems to me as if his guard has been lowered as he takes that step towards discovering what the Red One really represents. Perhaps too, there is a joy before God that one can call dancing. But I haven't yet found this joy. I look out for things that are yet to come. Things came, but joy was not among them. And finally, the devil reveals his true identity.
Don't you recognize me, brother? I am joy.
So what does it all mean? That joy is inherently evil? No. For Jung, the highly productive academic with high status, wealth and fortune, joy was the devil that threatened to steal all of that away from him. Before his interaction with the Red One, that's how he viewed evil. Joy was his shadow that up until now he had neglected, and his lack of it had turned the very concept into a monster. This vision that he's had, however, loosened him up to the idea that in order to become whole, he would have to allow himself to dance, allow some of those positive aspects of joy into his life. Jung would claim that taking the devil seriously doesn't mean going over to his side and becoming a devil yourself. No, if your only aim in life is to satisfy your immediate desires, your life will fall into turmoil, that waking hell that we spoke about at the very start of the episode. Rather, his integration means reaching an understanding and finding balance. Living a joyless life isn't the point, which is to say that if you're too rigid in your goals and your process of work is devoid of fun, you're already existing within hell. Jung suggests that accepting the other standpoint actually weakens the devil's grasp on your life, and it's also another step towards becoming whole. Hey, if you've made it this far, thank you for watching, and if you've got anything out of the video, I have a small favor to ask. Liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment does so much to help the video's relevance in the algorithm, and it pushes it to the right audience too. If you want to catch up on the series, you can watch the first 3 episodes here. I'm also going to leave the Ikigai video here for those of you interested in that one. And if you are subscribed, well, you can expect to see more of this kind of content very soon. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.